Meanwhile, President Yahya Khan orders his troops to concentrate on the Western Theatre, assuming that all of Indian forces will be concentrated on East Pakistan. His orders were to capture Jaisalmer Air Base and cripple Ramgarh Base. Yahya Khan chose at this point to try to protect Pakistan's integrity and to hold India by Ayub's strategy. The defense of East Pakistan lies in the west. The night of the 4th of December, the Indian platoon at Longewala detects noises across the border, which sounds like a large number of armored vehicles approaching. Indeed, a 20-kilometer-long armoured column of the West Pakistan Army was headed in the direction of Longewala. The Pakistani force consisted of 2,000 men, 65 battle tanks, 5 field guns, 3 anti-aircraft guns, and 138 military vehicles. All that stood opposing them was Major Kuldeep Singh Chandpuri and 120 men. It was a choice to fight or flee. The Major chose to fight. Meanwhile, a call went out to the Indian Air Force base in Jaisalmer for help. This was promised at first light, as the Indian aircraft was not outfitted with night vision equipment. The Pakistani forces began their attack at about midnight on the 4th of December. As the offensive approached the lone Indian outpost, Pakistani artillery opened up across the border. As 65 tanks neared the post, Indian defences laid a hasty anti-tank minefield as the enemy advanced. The Indian infantry held fire until the Pakistani tanks were 15 to 30 meters away, and then gave them all they had. The Indians destroyed or damaged 12 Pakistani tanks in totality. The initial Pakistani attack stalled almost immediately when the infantry discovered barbed wire, which looked to them like a minefield in the night. When the spare fuel reserves of the Pakistani tanks exploded into flames, it provided ample light for the Indians located on higher ground to open fire. The dense, acrid smoke also made it difficult for the Pakistani infantry. Although massively outnumbering the Indian defenders and having surrounded them, the Pakistani troops were unable to advance over open terrain on a full moon night under small arms and mortar fire from the outpost. This encouraged the Indians not to give up their strong defensive position, frustrating the Pakistani commanders. In the first light of the 5th, the Indian Air Force was finally able to direct aircraft to assist the Longewala post, attacking the Pakistani ground troops. Without support from the Pakistan Air Force, which was busy elsewhere, and despite frantic radio messages for help from the Pakistanis, there was no respite from the skies for the ground troops. Without any air cover, The tanks and other armored vehicles were easy targets for the Indian Air Force's Hunter aircraft. Indian air attacks were made easier by the nature of the barren terrain. Many IAF officers later described the attack as a turkey shoot, signifying the lopsidedness. The lack of air cover proved deadly for the Pakistanis. By the noon of the 6th of December, the assault ended completely, with the small Indian force decimating the large Pakistani force. The most significant part in the total thwarting designs of the enemy was played by air power, where a small number of pilots and their Hunter aircraft not only blunted but also destroyed a determined Pakistani armor thrust across the Thar Desert. Longewala had proved to be one of the defining moments in the war.